Good evening, mate.
Good evening. I just still love that tune. That's Forward
Forward
Momentum.
momentum.
You wrote that for 13 Past Midnight originally, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I did, yeah.
Got a lot of
Yeah, it's
mileage out of that.
yeah, it's been good, isn't it? It's doing well. It's nice when the records are actually used. You
Yep.
know, like on Alien Girl, there's at least 5 records I think she uses out of the 19, which is good. It's a good thing.
Got a staggering crowd here tonight. I got Henry
Right.
Nelson is
Yeah.
here.
Henry, hi Henry, how
And
you doing?
Brown Dwarf. How you
Brown
doing,
Dwarf.
buddy?
Hello, buddy. How you doing?
Need to
Good to
have
see
you
you.
back on not only this show, but I'd like to have you on my radio show again, Dwarf. Get a hold of me and we'll figure that out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a bit crowded tonight. You got to be careful with them people piling in.
Yeah, we'll have a few shows. Looks like we got 6 watching. Hello to all you lurkers out there.
Yeah, we can see you hiding. No, we can't.
we can look in. This
can,
works
we
both
can.
ways. We can look in on you and see what
Yeah,
you're
that's
doing.
it. Well, at least with our imaginations. It takes a lot of imagination to watch a UFO show, anyway, dude. Come on.
Yeah, and I'm just making that up. But anyway,
Copyright claim, don't forget as well. By the way.
yeah. Let me go ahead and do that before I forget about it. Thank you for reminding me there, Lee.
Anything for you, mate.
This video falls under fair use. Copyright disclaimer here. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for the purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, and what we're doing here. Fair use is the use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. And from beyond, the staff, management, production crew, nor Lee nor myself do not own this content. All credit given to its rightful owners. No copyright infringement intended. Your mileage may vary. So there you go. Let's get that out of the way. And this is from public TV in Mountain View, California, 10 years ago. So think about what you were doing 10 years ago. I was living in Portland, Oregon at the time.
I was in exactly the same place as I am right now.
Been a lot of water under the bridge for me anyway, the last 10 years. Didn't think I'd end up where I'm at now in New England, married to a beautiful woman, 22 years younger than me, and our first child, our son, is on the way. 4 weeks, 5 days from today, if he goes to 40 weeks. So
yeah.
I think he'll be here sooner than that.
The likelihood is high. A lot of women give birth before the time rather than after.
Yeah, that 40 weeks, that's as far as they'll let him go.
Yeah.
On the outside.
Then they give the inducement.
Yep. So we shall see. But getting all our ducks in a row and stuff, I've got a couple more things I need to do in preparation for the baby. But other than that, we're all set. Welcome. I almost said his name, but I'm going to save his name. We're not going to have a reveal of the name until he's actually here. Don't want anybody with a sooner due date to snipe that name. And probably first introduce him on Lee's show.
Oh yeah, Lucy. See, that's quality. That yeah. Spoiled, I am spoiled.
Thanks, Brown Dwarf. He congratulated me there. But yeah, a lot can change in 10 years. So we thought we'd see what this Ruben Uriarte had to say on public TV in Mountain View, California, 10 years ago or thereabouts. It may not be exactly 10 years, but it was in 2014.
Color me interested.
Well, if do you have anything else to add to the festivities?
I have nothing else to add, mate, apart from let's enjoy this.
Let's do it. Here we go. Enjoy, everybody. Space Cities present
Ufocon 2014.
Special guest, Ruben Uriarte. If the producer's name's Sloopy, you know it's going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be rock and roll, baby.
Hi, welcome to Space Cities. I'm Robert Perella, and Space Cities is a phenomenal program that explores space and science exploration, metaphysics, the esoteric. It also explores the mystery schools, a lot of things regarding things like UFOs, angels, extraterrestrials, the supernatural, the unbelievable, the simply fantastic, and paranormal, all these things. And tonight, Space Cities is exploring the vast and sweeping changes in consciousness. And more than that, we have Ruben Uriarte, State Director of MUFON, with us tonight. Incredible. Who has some interesting pictures, stories, and find out what's going on the latest in the UFO community. And Ruben, I got to admit, you know, some of your work is extraordinary. Do you believe in ghosts?
Yes.
Do you believe in the supernatural?
Absolutely.
Do you believe in the unbelievable or simply fantastic?
All of the above.
Do you believe in UFOs, angels, or extraterrestrials?
Absolutely.
Is your furniture moving by itself?
It does all the time.
Well, there you go. Okay, we have Ruben Uriarte with us tonight from MUFON. I'm really excited about this. Ruben, you know, there's all these programs that are just popping up left and right on television. I mean, it's become unbelievable. Like, I saw this thing last night on a guy who you've actually had contact with from the CNN, incredibly enough, which is the big guys, of course.
Yeah.
And it was Morgan Spurlock's show called
CNN,
Inside
the
Man.
big guys, no
You've seen
longer.
this show? Incredible. I had the scoop on
YouTube has got
UFOs.
more
Goes
following.
into churches and sees what's going on behind the scenes and see what people believe and how they believe and why they really believe that. Maybe they don't believe that. Anyway, but we saw this thing on UFOs last night.
Yeah, it was
you
really.
talked to him, didn't you?
Well, I was aware of that. CNN was interested in doing a program on UFOs and also having focus on the MUFON, Mutual UFO Network.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually went to a training location and met many of our directors. And he went through what a field investigator would go through. So he went through the training, and he went through understanding the manual. And then I believe he went to Georgia and actually investigated several cases along with another MUFON team. So I think toward the end, it wasn't like yay or nay, it was convincing, but the fact that he went through the whole process and understood, yeah, there is something strange going out there, and the fact that there are so many credible people who don't want notoriety. They're seeing strange things at night or during the day, and want to report it. So we have some action. So he got a good idea. He gave the general audience an idea of what's going on behind the scenes with MUFON, NASA, SETI, for example, that are all focused on what's going on.
Well, they gave him the chance to look through night vision goggles out in the desert. Yeah. And then film it what he's seeing, right? So you can see what's going on here with incredible infrared, incredible detail of stellar space, you know. And sure enough, he sees a couple of very anomalous lights that certainly don't move like anything we have. And I was amazed by that on prime time, you know. Pretty neat, pretty cool.
It's amazing the amount of television shows that have been coming out recently. And a lot of that has helped us as an organization. Yeah. We have actually grown tremendously. We've got a lot of new people that have joined MUFON as a result of seeing these. Yeah. We've seen a spike, in other words, of recruitment. I
saw Dan Aykroyd just last week on completely saying, you know, thumbs up to MUFON, and that's the go-to team, you know, to find, you know, UFOs or case studies that are in each state, broken down, you know, by district and who's involved and everything. Because we have a lot of people, like, you know, that aren't just average people. We have like state supervision people. We have people that are been with not only, you know, NASA and Ames and all that, but the government, in the sense of you know, you have everything from college students in Foothill College just looking up there through incredible equipment that we didn't have even 15 years ago, really.
Yeah.
So I think with all the shows that are happening, there's so many, we'll talk about them tonight, Hangar One, Ancient Aliens, Morgan Spurlock, Inside Man. You have so many. My feeling is these shows are just generally trying to get you used to the idea.
Yes.
I mean, it takes a while, you know, just to get used to the idea of extraterrestrials, and it's becoming just a reality. It's just the way that it is. Too many accounts, and yet it's interesting. The government counts on you not knowing, or really considering it a myth still, and just a mystery to be dismissed and everything. And they kind of count on you because they wouldn't really feel comfortable if the entire population in the cities and everything started talking about it day to day in every conversation, like when you have an extremely big subject that has just happened,
Yeah.
you know, like a newsworthy subject, you know, the capacity of something like, yes, we are like going to war on the first day, or the president being inaugurated. I mean, everybody knows what that day is and everything, you know. There's a lot of disbelief and dispelled stuff. You know,
Yeah.
Government, you know, is worried, but on the other hand, they count on us being kind of asleep.
You know, Robert, kind of interesting that you said that, because, you know, the internet has brought so much immediate information through all parts of the world. The fact that I can take a picture of you and somebody in Africa or Italy can see it, and just the how quickly people can now how quickly
In
information can pass it.
Yeah.
But you wonder way back in the 40s and the 50s, and how communication was processed back then. And we had to really rely a lot on the media. I mean, on newspapers and objective newspaper reporters that would try to go out on the scene. And then, of course, you had television that was just becoming into play in the 50s, and gradually.
Love it, the black and white television.
Oh, yeah.
You brought some pictures here that are from that time period with a great case and everything. Going back to the very beginning, you have this sort of, you know, those black and white movies, sci-fi, you know, the guy like Steve Cameron or whatever his name was, the helmet on, is chasing a UFO. You know, that's the kind of stuff I thought was just like incredibly fun when we grew up with that.
You know, it was an incredible era. You know, I'm a product of, of the, you know, of the 50s, actually, you know, and growing up with the space program, and then seeing all these TV shows, the name, like the Twilight Zone, the Outer Limits, and everything else.
Exactly.
But behind it, there was so much focus on the whole topic of aliens and extraterrestrials, and you know, our country was going through a number of incidents throughout the country where sightings were being reported by pilots, military pilots in particular.
It's always been sort of right there.
Yeah,
and the little flaps that come.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there'll be a series where the world sees a lot now.
Washington.
And then not so much.
Yeah,
you know,
Washington had its huge flyover back in 1952, and I had brought these paintings here.
Yeah,
that I
you
wanted
take a
to
look
share.
at the paintings over here. It's really great.
There's a story behind it.
Who painted this?
Well, if we can get the camera to focus on, let's see, now I can focus on which one. If I the one on to my right here, if I can get the camera, and I could go ahead and talk about that. But I bought these paintings in 2007, Robert, when I went to Roswell. And I bought them off a painter. His name is Patrick Richards. And once we get the story, this happened in 1953, and it shows a jet fighter going up and toward a UFO, and beautiful colors that's being displayed here. In this one particular incident, Robert, that came out of Project Blue Book that was investigating all the UFOs back in the 50s and 60s, this one particular pilot had about 30 feet of gun camera roll that he caught of the UFO. And
wow,
can you imagine? I would love to see that, but I know that
You
gun
have-
camera footage is in a
Has it ever
in a
been
vault.
released? Have we ever seen it?
That particular, there's been some references and drawings of it, but they actually see the black and white.
I'm not gonna let you. have it.
However, I've seen gun footage camera, from a camera, and it's absolutely incredible. When I went and saw this reel, and I pulled out the reel, and I'm looking through and looking at frame by frame, you can see this round oval object in each of the frames, and I was just said, "Whoa! Can you imagine putting through the reel and see that?"
Wow.
So this is one incident, and the other, so we can get the camera to zoom in. It's on the opposite side of you, Robert.
It's over here.
Yeah. This one here, Robert, is a F-86 fighter plane. That was one of my hot jets. I love this particular model. And if I could get the camera just to zoom in, and I could share a little bit more about the story real briefly. There were a lot of pilot sightings that were going on that were being reported
This is proper
at
pro,
an
isn't it,
alarming
mate?
rate. And the military, they were given specific orders to shoot them down, to try to force these objects to land. Well, Robert, from 1951 to up to specifically around up to 1956, we lost more planes. We lost over 200 pilots. These were pilots that were well-seasoned veterans from the World War II and Korean War. We lost more pilots chasing UFOs than all the pilots that were shot down during Korea.
Really?
Yeah, and there are statistics that was put together
What is that?
by Mr. Frank Ficino, who wrote a book called Shoot 'Em Down, and he went out and researched between this period of how many of these planes that went up to intercept these UFOs never came back, and they would crash mysteriously.
Wow.
So, my hat's off to these guys that were given an assignment to deal with an unknown power, and they were flying what was back then, and based on our technology back in the 50s, we had these jets. They must obviously be primitive, but now compared to today, a lot of stories of these planes these objects interfering with the plane's control systems or weapon systems and that. So these paintings definitely give us a history of what has happened back in the 50s and what's occurring today.
Wow. There's just such this long history of this whole incident stuff, one sort of encounter after the next. There's a big expo that's coming up, and you'll want to see that. That's Ufocon coming October 10th and 11th, or rather the 11th and 12th. That's going to be in October this year, and it's going to be in the San Jose Bay area. Location's being finalized now, and you're going to see at Ufocon, you have all kinds of interesting speakers here. You're going to be here, which Ruben Uriarte is going to be here, the state director for MUFON. You're going to see
For Northern California.
Grant Cameron for Northern California, right?
Yeah.
Michael Horn, who does the Pleiadians. What do you know about Michael Horn? About the Pleiadians, he researched the Billy Meyer case. He's been
Very
kind
good
of
speaker.
one of the
I've heard
authorized
him.
guys for that.
He's been a
It's good.
speaker at when we used to have the UFO Expo.
Yeah,
he's
right.
been in,
Very powerful.
yeah, and very informative. The whole Billy Meyer case has always been very interesting, very controversial, but still, it's still a fascinating case.
I think you can see those kinds of ships if you go over to Michael Horn's website. Just put in the search for Michael Horn. You'll probably see that the Pleiadians are your friends, according to Barbara Marciniak. In Bringers of the Dawn, Pathway to Empowerment, Earth, all three of those books specifically point out that the Pleiadians are related to us. It even says in some law scriptures. I'm not real fancy on the and knowledgeable of the biblical scriptures. However, I do know that there are 11 books of Matthew, only one's put in the actual final version. I do know also the lost books of Job are a big section on what the host they talk about in the Bible in reference to visitors from somewhere else. And it says, you are descendants of the house of Pleiades. and the House of Sirius and the House of Orion. And when I heard that, or when I read that, I read on. I thought, my God, what are they saying here and everything? And it was talking literally about a sort of a lineage that they were here before recorded history. This is what the loss of books of Job talk about, before recorded history. That's very subjective because, of course, they had Greek, Aramaic, Mazaroth, all these different dialects and styles of communication. So that goes way, way back. But it's very definitely there. You're descendants of the House of Pleiades. And yet I keep running into people constantly that keep telling me that this Pleiadian lineage comes and follows form. We have a case of a woman named Tatiana, who is local here in the Bay Area. And one of the cases that I've been working on would be, I don't know if you want to get a shot of that, one of the cases I'm working on is called automatic writing. And in automatic writing, we have a series of equations here that were written by her son in Poland, who comes by and writes this type of stuff. So, and then we reverse it, and actually I can see T's and J's and F's and everything else. And there's many cases that are like that of hieroglyphics and people that do automatic writing and things like that. I know that...
just looking at that, Robert, it is so detailed.
It's detailed.
And very, it's like not every symbol seems so different.
Yeah.
And there's nothing repeated, just from my observation. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, there's one case after the next, sort of. Maharishi used to say, that your job was to try to tap into divine intelligence, and that it was sort of a prerequisite for living while you're here, why you're here. And so by meditating every day, he said he had contact with many types of forms of life forms, because the veils are not so pronounced between the material world and the non-material world. That's why I think what he was saying there, mystics, yogis, trance mediums, people with an ability that's just an anomaly on a behavioral science standpoint of intelligence or of ability to put themselves into, say, a trance and move between dimensions. I mean, there's many out there, and I think it's kind of evidence as we go on that there is something emerging. People don't think the way that they used to. They accept these things, like the people that receive information from space people. We have space programs like Morgan Spurlock, Inside Man and stuff, all these other programs on the History Channel and Hangar One and all these things. It's just undeniable that this is going on. I mean, people are just sort of getting used to it now, and it's not. Is it really not such a big deal?
Well, we got to look at why. The big question: why? There's always been an interest or a fascination.
Yeah.
With Hollywood, for example, I mean, all the extraterrestrial themes that have been out in the movies, in our media, and that it's been part of our culture. And now we're seeing like another spike of programs coming in, and I have a feel. And again, these are programs that are very well put together. Producers that go and do some research, and they may talk about a particular incident that happened, and then you'll see it in a different program, but with more information. I think that's part of it. Is that even though a lot of these programs may be historical, it's just the fact that we're finding a little bit more, a little bit new, or maybe like you said earlier, the government's holding back, and maybe something is coming out. Maybe a researcher's tapped into another source of information.
Seems to be one after the next. There is another expo I want to talk about, which is a chance for you all to gather in Joshua Tree, California, August 8th through the 11th, 8th through 10th. And that's Contact in the Desert. Contact in the Desert is probably the largest gathering of speakers that's ever been assembled in this industry. And I've been in the business a long time, as you have. I've been going to these expos since 1992, I guess, solidly, and conferences, and none has had like Stephen Greer, David Wilcock, Jim Mars, Michael Tellinger, Giorgio Tsoukalos, David Wilcock, me as your MC and also presenting.
No wonder you know the names so
no, I know them so well and everything. James Gilliland, The list just goes on and on. Eric Van Daniken. I mean,
Wow.
the names just go on and on with this thing, and yet tried and true, they're going in the desert to make contact with night vision goggles, telescopes, and these people are serious. It attracts about 1,500 people. You can see it at contactinthedesert.com, and look for us there. I'm on there somewhere.
You know, Robert, it's interesting because the Contact in the Desert, you're bringing all these luminaries basically
Yeah.
into one location, and I'm working with my good friend Noe Torres, and we have what's called the UFO Border Zone conferences,
Oh, wow.
and we've been putting conferences together along the border, primarily in Texas. But we focus our UFO conferences on these small towns where people never really get a chance to go to a major metropolitan area. I mean, Los
Sure.
Angeles, for example, you've got
Sure.
Contact in the Desert, but you also got LA. Where we go to Presidio, Texas, Presidio's like 4 or 5 hours before any major metropolitan area, but the fact that there's a lot of UFO activity going on in that area,
Sure.
as well as in Mexico. And so we have in Edinburgh, Texas, in next month, we have a major conference, and we have the Presidio conference in October, and we have one in Del Rio. But these are the cities. These
Yeah.
are the cities that are
Yeah.
getting involved in that. So that's
Sure.
something that's really cool.
There's more and more people joining MUFON. I think one of the things that's interesting is like even yesterday we saw a large gathering of people from the Bay Area. People were just coming out from all over to see this.
It was the
The
largest meeting I've ever had.
easily largest
Easily.
you've ever had. It was at the Community of Infinite Spirit
Mhm.
on Hicks Avenue in San Jose. And gosh, we had Nick Pope there. You had Nick Pope. You booked him. And he brought out this Rendlesham case.
Yeah.
I mean, tell us about the Rendlesham case. I mean, it's phenomenal what I heard yesterday.
Well, what it was basically is that this UFO approached a air base over in Rendlesham or Bentwaters,
Yeah,
actually,
Bitwaters.
in England, and it was reported by a group of military police officers. They were seeing these strange lights in the forest, so they went out there, and the lights stopped, and then the lights regroup again, and then Robert, they discovered this UFO that landed.
Yeah, I know they
And
first thought it crashed, and then they said, no, wait a minute, it made a landing
and
of
there's
some
been
kind.
some very credible people, many of the officers and the enlisted men that saw the UFO. And of course, now there's several versions of this story that's been written by different authors from different testimonies. But the fact that this object appeared on a NATO or a U.S. Air Force base
Yeah.
where we carried nuclear weapons.
It's huge.
So it's a great story. And Nick Pope, that's what he spoke about, also the cover up, or how he was part of the Ministry of Defense. His job was to look at UFO files, and at first he was a skeptic, but gradually he started to look at, hey, there's more to this data, and it's just been a very amazing amount of information that he provided us. So, yeah, I have a feeling one of the reasons why we had such a very well attended audience was the fact that we had an official.
Well, he's the real thing.
Yeah.
He was on the Defense Department.
Yeah, he was an official,
Yeah.
and he's
Or the
now
British
coming,
Defense
the British
Department.
Defense, yeah.
Yeah, the British Defense Department, which, by the way, works with the RAF, and you don't want to mess with the RAF. Did I throw that in? Anyway, continue.
What's it stand for? RAF or
Royal Air Force.
Royal
for you
Air
and me.
Force, right?
Yeah, my wife's very British. I hear about it. The Royal Air Force. Under Prince Philip. But not
I
here.
love England, and I love
Yeah,
the UK and
England's
the
great.
people there. So
Well, there's crop circles over there left and right. I led a group, a number of years ago, and Colin Andrews was there. He stopped in, and we had Barbara Hanklau. And I mean, it was just incredible amount of evidence the crop circles were showcasing. I mean, they'd wonder why are the stalks bent in such a way as not to harm them or break them. There's a fissure point. If you take a piece of celery and you go like that, it breaks, right? It goes, and it has a snap point, a stress point.
yeah,
In some wheat fields, the stress point where the stalk is up like this and bends down and then turns around like this. They wanted to know, why did the stock cooperate? Why wasn't it showing a greater stress point when you basically bend it around? Whatever did it had respect for Mother Nature. You know, it was really advanced somehow and didn't even harm the plants, because some of the crop circles are spun clockwise and some of them are spun counterclockwise, and they want to know why. You know, what is that?
A very
You know
complicated weaving, and then all this different types of sacred or fractal geometry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a chance to walk into probably over 100 crop circles, Robert.
Right.
When I was with
Wow.
Beyond Boundaries.
Sure.
That was a special tour group.
Is this in South America,
And
Mexico?
we went to a number of hot spots in various countries, and had the great fortune of getting hired as a tour guide, and that's how I had a chance to meet a lot of, like you mentioned, Colin Andrews, and a lot of these very well established researchers in their own countries, and going into these crop circles, and oh man, it was totally unbelievable an experience. Going to Scotland, I love Scotland.
Oh man.
And going out to
Glasgow,
Inverness,
Inverness,
and look for the
Sure.
Loch Ness monster. 'Cause-
Aberdeen.
Yeah, oh, I love Aberdeen. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, great people.
Sure.
And beautiful country, and lots of folklore, history,
Yeah.
and that's what I love about traveling, is you meet all
Get to
the
see it, get to be a part of it.
But I never would have dreamed that I would be doing this because of UFOs, and that was what happened. I got my
Phenomenal.
my whole life changed as a result of that.
Well, you have two books. You wrote the Koyami Incident. Did you do this book with Noel?
Yes,
Noe Torres?
we have a website called roswellbooks.com, and both Noe Torres and I, we teamed together, and
Right.
we've actually written now close to 5 books already together.
Wow.
And but my friend Noe is of all things, he's a baseball historian.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's his background, baseball.
So he loves the baseball. Of course.
Oh man, but
But he's a serious researcher.
he's
of
a
course.
serious researcher. He's
Good
always been
combination,
fascinated.
really.
He's been always fascinated with the paranormal phenomena and UFOs. Well, I was on the History Channel, and we did a whole thing on New Mexico's Roswell, and that was a fascinating subject to him. So he contacted me and said, "Hey, I want to know more about it." And da da da. Before we know it, we teamed up and went to Mexico and went to Koyame, which a UFO had crashed. Well, Robert, we would have never. But once we got into researching this UFO crash that occurred in 1974, we started uncovering other UFO crashes that occurred along the Texas-Mexico border.
Wow.
So going back to the history of these where encounters, we go back to 1955.
Well, wait a minute. How many, we have crash retrieval sites, right? And aside from the crash retrieval sites, when all this activity took place, you say between the late 50s and early 60s, in this time period. I mean, altogether up till now, how many downed spacecraft from an ET origin do you think would be on this planet if you were to add them up, say, since Roswell, since 1945?
Oh, Robert, I can't think the number right off the top of my head, and the author.
Is it still do you think it's still at least a big number or a small number? Would it
90
be
or more.
90 or more?
Yes.
Oh, really, that many?
Well, the ones that we know of. Again,
and we're counting orbs, we're talking to small devices, we're talking about anomaly things. It's not always a spacecraft. It's not always a manned craft of some kind, or with little green men, or intelligent men, or whatever men. But there's a lot more. When we say UFO, there's a lot more than just you immediately think this UFO or saucer-shaped thing being driven by a pilot, but it's not always that way.
Now, Ryan Wood, who's an author and researcher, wrote a book. The title escapes me, but he on MJ12, Majestic 12 documents,
Right.
but he focused specifically on all the crash retrievals, and he had them in different categories. Some that had very strong documentation, others that went to. We just had very weak information, but I believe it was over close to 90 cases so far, and that was all over the world, and there are still more. There's still more that it's being uncovered.
That seems phenomenal to me, but I know they have these other conferences like the Crash Retrieval Conference and stuff like that. I think it's in Las Vegas. Wow, they've really uncovered some really startling evidence.
But there's an evolution. Conferences, they come and go.
Yeah.
and you have new
They're hard
promoters,
to
and
put on.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work.
It's a lot, trust me, I know.
And
I've
trying
been there a
to
long time.
in dealing with the different personalities of
Yeah.
the speakers, and there's some that are very easy to work with, and others that need to be, I hate to say it, but they need to be peppered, a little.
Sure.
But many of them are have very important information to share. I think overall that's been a great way of getting the information out. But now with the internet, and there's just so many different. I love the concept what Stephen Bassett did, where.
Oh yeah, the Citizens Hearing on Disclosure
Oh,
at the
yes.
Washington Press Club,
Yeah.
inviting basically a mock trial. A mock trial. Where like very legal looking, with generals, science researchers, regular style researchers, university professors, astrologers, astronomers, professors in astrophysics and
Well, what he did, Robert, was
so much more.
He was able to get. He had some assistance, from what I believe, but they were able to get people to go into their pockets and fund this whole conference, and it cost a lot of money, but he was able to get more than 40 or 50 researchers from different parts of the world, fly them in, and they had.
Which conference was this?
We're talking again the Stephen Bassett.
Stephen Bassett. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
He did. He got him. I mean, what an incredible feat.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
I couldn't
pulled it
do
off,
bringing
and
all those people. Like, how do you call all those people and get them all to come out?
And
And Washington must have been holding its breath.
yeah, and.
Yeah.
Yeah, until the Congress treats it seriously, but this was the other way, the other approach, and I thought it was really successful.
Remarkable. We're talking with Ruben Uriarte. He's the state director for MUFON, Mutual UFO Network. We see shows, TV shows that are just getting us used to the idea. Hangar One, Ancient Aliens.
Hangar One, Robert, is the new show.
Yeah, it's relatively new, huh?
And it's basically focused on all the MUFON files. We have approximately 70,000 files. Now, I'm just saying, these are paper files that are in file cabinets. And the reason why they call it Hangar One was originally all these files were in a aviation hangar.
Right.
And recently the headquarters was moved to Los Angeles, and so the files were transferred there. We have more than probably up to 80 or 90,000 already in our database recently,
There's
which
a
is
lot
all
of pressure.
electronic. Because of the internet and that. So, so the files that we have, the producer went ahead and looked at many of the files and took out and focused on some of the best cases. And now there's going to be a season 2. But as a result of that, the recruitment of new members has risen.
I'll imagine. Or throughout the Bay Area, you have a chance to join. How can they join MUFON? Mutual UFO Network? They contact you?
They could go immediately to 2 websites that I would highly recommend. MUFON.com, which
Right.
is our main international website, and then we have Northern California MUFON.com.
Both of them, Northern California MUFON.com and MUFON.com. Wow. I was kind of curious about what they call the end times. Now, supposedly there's prophecies that towards a time that's a decision time, the mystics, the Sanskrit, the Gita, the Torah, the Sumerian tablets, the Bible, so many others all talk about this particular time period. One, there's this great upheaval on the planet, which there is, and every sector that you think of, I don't care whether it's international and domestic policy, which is, by the way, collapsing on many fronts. Aside from that, there's so many systems that are in trouble, but they also talk about a possible intervention about this time. There's a myth and mystery about an intervention, an actual revealment, like a possible landing. I mean, a real landing, that was bona fide, where it was documented. I mean, do you think that we're close to that? Do you think that we are close to direct contact in some way?
The way that I could respond to that, Robert, is there's different points of view about UFO landings, and I'm looking mostly statistically from our MUFON database, because we get based on the reports that come in, it tells us how close was it that a UFO? How close was the witness from the UFO? And the
Right.
category I'm in, or what shape, or what color, and what was it a saucer shape or whatever,
Sure.
and it's broken down statistically. But the thing that I am really interested in is UFOs, hoverings, landings, or takeoffs, and what we call close encounters of the second kind is when you actually find physical evidence on the ground, where you have land imprints of the object, and we get a number of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the other is the third kind, where you get the where an occupant, where the entity is actually seen by the witness.
Mm.
So
Mm.
no, it's there. The evidence is there. It's just being reported now. How it ties into the bigger picture, if it has some sort of message or meaning. Again, it depends on the person that
Sure.
is trying to say that, or what is what is the message of that person? How is that person tying in all this information?
Right. Well, people have asked me, how did you get involved in all this and everything? And I met up with you, and you gave me one of my first opportunities to speak. Now, since speaking since 1993, since July officially, which was at a MUFON event.
Yeah, 20 years.
20 years
We had a
ago.
20-year.
Yeah. And so, that said, yeah, I had an encounter on August 20, or sorry, December 26th, day after Christmas, 1977, in what's called Lake Tahoe, the area of where Heavenly Valley actually is, and I've
Wow.
documented it many times. But essentially, the whole house became just literally illuminated like an arcing storm, right? Just unrivaled. The sound was deafening, like a freight train going through the living room, and suddenly the whole ceiling opens up. And I know this sounds crazy, bear in mind, but three of these started to appear. Three of these appeared to me, and this is a crude photograph. You can see that, but aside from it being crude, you're only seeing about 10% of what's there. You don't see the incredible arcing storm that goes around it. You don't see the antenna here, which is orange, right there, bright orange. You don't see the whole flashes of lightning coming off of it, of blue, violet, indigo, but especially blue. It just lit up like the sun. Now, I know that that's difficult for some to take. How did I have a photograph? Well, let's put it this way. This was taken a few years before what happened to me. This is taken by Jeff Greenshaw, an off-duty police officer in Falkville, Alabama, who took this photograph in 1973. And we still don't know what it is. People have said that it's an anomaly of some sort. And all I know is I saw three of these, and they gave me a hell of a sunburn. I locked myself in my apartment for 3 months. And when I came out, I started talking to only a few about it, including the MUFON meeting. Oddly enough, with J. Allen Hynek and William Shatner, which I thought was really extraordinary. I didn't expect to be telling him when I first sort of came out. I know came out in an ET way, that is, uh, and came out in '78 and started. Actually, I went to the first MUFON event or UFO. It wasn't even MUFON, I don't think quite maybe then. It was in April of '78, and it was the conference. It was held at the San Francisco Airport Hilton, right next.
Oh wow!
Right
Yeah, you go
next.
way back.
Yeah,
That was one of the
very
very
young
first.
Richard Hoagland was there.
Very yeah.
Very young Richard Hoagland, J. Allen Hynek, William Shatner, Stanton Friedman was around then. I mean, all these guys, the originals, I know where I was, this fresh-faced 21-year-old kid. How did this happen? And so, yeah, I've had it happen to me, and other people have had this happen to them. I mean, we're not the only ones,
So what do you tell people when you see them out there they're looking at us and if they're saying, "Oh, you know what? I had a similar experience, Robert."
Yeah. I always say this.
do I
I
deal
would
with it?
say, share your experience. Don't be afraid. Share your experience. Attend the Move On meetings. Come out to the Move On meetings. Other people have said, look, I've seen something unusual. We're talking about a complicated kind of science in some ways where these things appear and disappear at will, fly through the sky in ways we never dreamed possible, appear as small spheres or space robots. They appear in all kinds of ways, just like this. I mean, why would it be any difference? Here, people appear to other people in the strangest and most unusual ways. How they communicate or contact with them. They do the same. You know this.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, it's time to wake up. In my opinion, it's like about waking up, and being okay with it. More and more people, and I encourage you, more and more people, if you're there, um, join with other people that believe like this. It's time we understand what this is, because it's coming. It's coming more and more. I'm not just saying that there's this plan or agenda. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is that it's, if you notice the whole history of it, it's gradual. It's a steady graph upwards, where there's more sightings, more sightings. We're getting used to it. More sightings, more sightings. We're getting used to it. More sightings, and we're getting used to this. We're getting used to this. And so you see these shows pop up. I think it's an incredible time that we're in.
Yes. I hope, I would like to see it in my lifetime where we don't need TV shows. We already know. It's already, we're in contact
Yeah.
with whoever.
Yeah.
And see.
You carry around this book, I noticed. You got an old book. Okay, what is this?
This
old
again.
book?
This
I
was
wanna
part
see
of
this.
this is part of the book
What is that?
that ties in. I forgot to mention
Oh
it.
my goodness.
It ties into
This is an original.
1956, Robert.
1950. Even the
Edward
pages are
Rappel.
kind of yellow. Isn't that kind of cool? The pages are.
Well, I have the
yellow.
I had the hardback and I
This
have
is
the
where
paper
you
version.
see what you're looking for.
Yeah, but this is part of
Unidentified flying objects. The report on.
Yeah.
I love it. Go ahead.
Oh, written by
Edward Rappelt.
Right, and he had a lot to do with shaping the whole ufology, or
Right.
had a lot of history that's involved because he was in charge of Blue Book and he was interviewing.
Oh, really?
He was.
So this book is very important.
Oh, yeah, I highly recommend anyone interested in the
such
subject.
an old book.
You learn more from history, and this is what started it, and what was going on back then, and how does it relate to now. You should see the other book that I have of the.
Oh my goodness,
in,
this is a must.
Yeah, it really shows what was going on back in the 50s and when our fighter pilots were coming back after shooting at these UFOs and UFOs were taking off. They would come back and report to their commander, and the commander wouldn't believe them. They told him you were not to say anything, or you're not, or
Well, of course. Well, Nick Pope even said that there were 55,000 page documents on UFO encounters in one form or another. 55,000, but their official position is that they really can't comment because they really don't know, except for they have 55,000 pages of documents. They really don't know. I don't know why. Do those two not go together? Is it me? I think there's something wrong there.
Oh, I mean, the fact that that's a lot of documentation, 55,000 that they just released, and there's who knows what the UK has. But the beauty is, at least that's one government in that one particular country, the UK, that has released the files, part of the whole disclosure.
Wow.
And there's other countries that are doing that. And hopefully we here as a country in our own nation, I would love to see where we have these officials. Here, Robert, here's the file,
Right.
You don't have to go through no FOIA process.
Yeah, right.
You don't have to, but it's not going to be that way. It's just going to take a very lengthy process. But I think the big question is, are we ready for it? Are we ready to?
Yes
with
and
all
no. Yes and no. There's so many more today of us than there used to be. It's sort of like, dare I say, but it's a lot like the generation of the 60s. The 60s were a time when their minds were really open, exciting time. Wow, incredible. And this is the age where we have to keep we have an open mind too. They see so much bombardment with social media every day. You check your cell phone every single day. Some people check it every 15 minutes, as if it's like a pacifier, and they have to check it. Who's communicating with me? And they are exposed to so much. I get emails and Facebooks and little photos that people send me of UFOs. Look at this one. Look at this one. I think that's, what kind of world did we end up in? I didn't expect this at all, to end up in checking on UFOs every few hours during the day. Oh, look, Texas. That's a good one. Oklahoma. There's so many more. What's happening here?
And there's so much interesting applications that people can now buy.
Yeah.
And it's a challenging for us, Robert, because there's so many UFO hoaxes going on, where photographs could be taken and you could put in a little object in there, and
Sure.
and oh, it's amazing that. But it really has been. We have to be just as sharp, and we need to have our technicians or people that are very well acquainted with all these. Because there's some very sharp people out there too that are sending us hoax photos, and
I'm sure,
and with hoax stories, and it just it skews everything.
Well, it's incredible.
And I don't have the time to really.
I don't have the time to go through it either. No, I don't. Well, anyway, we're currently turning to the end of our show and everything. We'd sure like to know how you guys can get a hold of us. You can get a hold of us over here at Space Cities and everything. We're on here talking with Ruben Uriarte from the State Director, and you can contact us at www.ufocon 2014. Don't forget, that's coming up in the fall, October 11th and 12th. In the Bay Area. We will notify you as soon as we know. It is happening momentarily. There's other ways you can contact us right here at Space Cities, P.O. Box 487, Mountain View, California, 94042. That's Space Cities right there, Box 487. So, yeah, I mean, I've just absolutely enjoyed this talk tremendously. I always wonder myself, I mean, just how close are we? We are very, very, very close to real revealment. And
10
my
years later,
neighbors,
we're very, very, very
HOA,
close.
I'll just end by saying, I'm in a homeowner association. They came to me, and after the meeting was over, they said, well, Robert, where's your tin hat? And I said, oh, very funny, very funny. Look, you'll see, and then you'll come to me. You'll see, and then you'll come to me, because you'll want to know, right? You'll want to know. Hey, we were here with Ruben Uriarte, the State Director for MUFON, Mutual UFO Network. He's got the scoop on just about everything and anything regarding UFOs, extraterrestrials, crash retrieval sites.
Some information. I mean, it's huge. Yeah. But we have a great team of people out there. They're the ones that a lot of field investigators and a lot of great people who have put their, and it's all volunteer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to Space Cities right here in Mountain View. And thanks to Sloopy Baru and so many others, Scott
Thanks,
Baxter,
Robert,
for putting on the show here, and Ruben Uriarte, Steve Naj on things, and Lance over here on camera. Thanks so much. We'll see you at Space Cities on next time. More extraterrestrials coming your way. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, I think that was just an excuse to drop a load of names. Do you know who I know? Do you know who I know? And do you know who else I know?
Yeah,
do you know who I've met?
That guy. And we're this close. We're this close.
Yeah.
That was 10 years ago. We're not any closer than we
not
were.
any bloody closer. No.
And
no.
Here's what I think.
Like I said, yeah, that is exactly.
Aliens have not made contact with it.
That is exactly the sort of reason why. Yeah, absolutely. Dear oh Lord, dear oh Lord.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Halloween. I'm all about fall, but I can't see us making a family picture like that. Although I'll talk to Nicole and we'll see.
Yeah, I just big fat no from me, mate. Yeah, that is just.
But I did find it interesting that they mentioned the Faultville, Alabama Metal Man. That was a famous occurrence, October 17, 1973. I may make a video about that. I don't know if it'll be on this channel or on Tales Untold, but
that looks a little bit sus to me, though. That looks like just a costume, costume.
It looked like a really good Halloween costume.
A total setup piece. I mean, yeah, because it's just going to stand there while you take a photograph of it. Hello, mate. All right, stand, and say cheese.
Yeah, and it was a sheriff that made those pictures, and he said if it was going to do this, and if it came after him, he was going to run it over and stuff. And then supposedly it ran away. And
yeah, that was after it. Was that after it stopped to pose for a photo?
He said it moved like it had springs on its feet. But it's not as good as the picture there.
I wish you could zoom in, but that's definitely a bloke in a costume, mate.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let's see if entertain the troops there, Lee, and I'll see if I can find a better picture.
Entertain the troops, mate. Can't even bend my fingers properly yet. My thumb's not even bloody working. Absolutely, and you know, it is what it is. Yeah, a lot of this stuff. I mean, like I said, I've had my own experiences and stuff that I can't explain. Things in the sky that I can't explain. But the last thing I do is jump to aliens, or you know, you just can't make that leap. You know, unless you actually saw physical beings. You know, then maybe you. I mean,
All the pictures I'm finding of it are tiny, looks like.
yeah, I think it's
But
'cause
that guy
it's,
there, he had one printed out, and
yeah, yeah. He had a massive one, didn't he?
that was taken from a Polaroid. So
Yeah, exactly. So you think about, you know, and it was a '70s Polaroid, right?
Yep.
So
there's a
you know,
little bit bigger version of it, but yeah, not much.
yeah, yeah. That's probably someone in
Yeah, I don't know.
spacesuit.
Looks kind of fruity to me. I don't know.
It looks sus to me, mate. It looks like '70s bullshit from from a 1940s movie sort of
But
idea.
it makes for an interesting story nonetheless.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, we weren't there, but it does look sus. And like I said, who the hell's gonna stop and pause for a Polaroid? You know, especially if they're after you. They're after you, but they're going, hang on a minute, just stop while I take a photograph. All right, mate, yeah, hang on then. Yeah, if you could just stand where I've just put that bit of tape, mate.
Excuse me. Couldn't hit the mic fast
To make
enough.
sure the lighting's right, you know, because we need the light just right. We need that light to, you know, be across your light so we can just about make you out. All right, mate, yeah, all right, Gov, yeah, got you.
The sheriff said when his first thought was that he was simply dealing with an idiot. Now that's probably closer to the truth there.
Yeah. Oh dear, yeah. So well, that's my take on it, mate. What's yours?
Yeah. No, we'll take a deeper dive into it at some point on some chat. But yeah, there's some strange people out there that like to do strange things.
There is, mate.
Lucky he didn't. Deputy sheriff, or sheriff's deputy, whatever he was, in Alabama, rural Alabama. He's lucky he didn't get shot for pulling a stunt like that, unless the sheriff was in on it. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Claude,
It's
put on
probably
your
it's
welding
probably
outfit. You
it's
know,
probably to get some money to come into the town, mate. That's what it was.
yeah, kind of like
We,
other play. Well, the Mothman, look what they did, and look at this, and look at that, and the Flatwoods monster. By God, we'll have the Falkville monster. Or there's one there in your country, the spaceman of Solway Firth. Have you ever seen those
oh my
pictures?
God, Solway Firth. Yeah, that photograph does my head in. It looks so fake. It just looks so fake. Whatever's going on there just looks wrong. It's like her dad's put a, you know, when he's took the photograph, he's just stuck a model or something on a stick behind her head. You know what I mean? As he's took the photograph, you know, like putting your fingers up behind someone's head, and because people bit on it, he went with it. That's what I reckon. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one another time too. Maybe we'll do that. Do a show dedicated to strange creatures that people spotted and how silly some of them look.
Oh dear, like people put so much faith in the truth of those things as well. You know, it's a lot of them. You know, I'm so skeptical about, but but like I said, there only has to be one out of 100
That's
million,
right. One of anything.
100
One Bigfoot.
million
One
things.
UFO.
One of anything is enough.
One ghost.
One,
one whatever.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. One true reality, and you're like, what the hell? You know, and there is just as many believable things as there are unbelievable things. I think that's what remains people like myself still interested. You know, it does bug me when you see a load of nonsense, but at the same time, you need to know the nonsense to spot the real, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
And I think the problem is that the problem nowadays, obviously, is with graphical content can be done so well now. You know, it's not as taskful as it used to be. You know, there's programs you get that, you know, if you want an item on the screen to wobble with the camera, you just got a setting for it. You know, that sort of thing. It's crazy. I still haven't got to look at my new camera either, by the way, so I'm still upset.
Yeah, looking for that. I've got a new video camera over here that I haven't got to use yet that I'm looking forward
Yeah,
to
I've
using.
got a 5K one. It's won't be any better than this picture though, because obviously StreamYard only lets you stream at 1020.
Yeah.
So 1080p, sorry. Yeah, which is a bit of a shame, but it's good for recording though. See, recording and then playback.
Yeah, this one I tested it a little bit in the car as we were moving, and it's rock solid. It's got the auto stabilization stuff on it. It's the
Yeah. My other
DJI
camera's got that.
Osmo Pocket 3. It's like a drone camera, but in a little handheld thing, and you can twist and turn. It's got, it's built into a gimbal, so
Yeah.
it'll be great for filming some stuff. I got it with filming the baby in mind, but
Well,
use
yeah,
it
of
for some
course.
other things too.
Yeah. Well, this one, I can't believe the size of the batteries. My last camera, the batteries were the normal, quite chunky things that slip. You know, they slide in, don't they, on the back of the camera?
Yeah, the old
These ones are like a little tiny stick,
yeah,
a flat stick,
like the old
flat
Nikon
square.
style batteries like that.
Yeah, that's them. Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah. That's my old camera, the one with the projector on it, which is still 1020 10. Why I keep saying 1020? 1080p.
Yeah.
You know, it's still good HD one, but I've gone up a couple of steps by not going to 4K, going to 5K. But that was that looked like it was good value, you know, for what it was.
Yeah.
It can do slow mo and all that sort of stuff as well, which is a nice little thing.
Good deal.
So that'd be handy for me video when I start actually getting it going.
Well, Lee, how's the healing process going there for you? Look like
I
your
said,
wrist is looking better.
It's looking a bit better now, look, as you can see.
So
All right,
probably
but,
be a little Radio 1FA in our future tomorrow night, and then
yeah.
Saturday night, hopefully you'll be back for songs.
Oh, I don't know if I'll be playing even by then, because it's very, very sore. I think it was because it was so bad, so bad. It's, bruised me quite badly. It is literally like the swelling is like you've been hit by something. It's like an accident, So, it'll be all right. It'll be all right.
Well, I hope you continue convalescing okay and are on the mend there.
Yeah, I'm just taking it easy. That's all I can do, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the best you
all I
can
do.
Take some time off and get healed up, and then come back and assail us with your tunesmithery.
That's it. Well, see, the good thing is, gives you a little bit of break from it as well, from the constancy of me.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I do a show and stuff, and people come to watch that show, but you can still have, it's good to have a break now and then. So.
All right. Well, I reckon we're ready to get out of here then. Thanks everybody for showing up. That was kind of a lot of name dropping tonight, a lot of silliness, I thought, with those guys. But somebody said Ruben looked like he was getting ready to sell you diabetic supplies, diabetes. Yeah. And then the other guy looked like
he just finished on fishing.
He just come back from fishing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was Jabba said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good man, Dustin. Yeah, you great minds think alike, mate.
Yep, indeed. All right,
Lee. Dude. Yeah, no worries. So
Lee's
good
going
night,
to play
everybody.
us out of here. Have a good night. We'll see you a little further on down the trail. Tell your animals we said hi. Lee's going to play us out with some music here that he actually recorded for 13 past midnight. It's called Forward Momentum. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks again, Lee. See you, bud.
See you later, guys.